And let's see. And we've got iPhone joining us. Is that another sibling or?
No, that's not ours.
Okay. All right, we're getting live here. See how it's looking. It should just go live. Let's see. I do know some people have been jumping in on the Facebook group, so we want to hopefully get them in there. And it's not just like, it just works first time every time, but we'll get it. We'll get it going. There we go. So it's got the thing leading. Let's see. Dashboard. It's trying to start at 3 o'clock. So if you do it a second after the time that it's supposed to go. Advanced settings. Stream. Oh, there's the button. Go live at scheduled time. I have to turn that off. Cool. All right, so that means we are live in Facebook now. We'll get everyone into the fold. Hopefully people can join us. And hopefully they can hear us. So I did have somebody last week that jumped on a few hours later and said, "We can hear you." I said, "I hope so. I am already in bed." So, yeah, it may look live for you on Facebook, but it does mean that we're running on a different bandwidth here. So, well, welcome everybody. I apologize for getting started a couple minutes late here because I just make that assumption that things are going to work the first time, which is hardly ever the case. So, we those of you on Facebook or over on YouTube may have missed me say this, but David's out today. Had some last minute stuff that popped up, and so you've got me. We last week we did the top 10 things that every mitigator needs, and certainly we talked about a lot of tools and things like that. We talked about whether it be the auger that David sells, it's been welded, so it's not going to break apart. Having a shop vac with a good HEPA filter, those little things on there that makes a difference. An automatic caulk gun, having good fans, having the tools in your truck, in your kit to successfully, do mitigations right the first time. And so I was out in Orlando here. Many of you that are watching this also down in Orlando, but I know a lot of people didn't make it. I know the numbers were a little bit smaller this year. I don't know if everyone just saw the hurricanes coming and they didn't want to be there, 3 weeks before it happened. But I got to talk with most of the Dunn family. Jackie did not make it there, so we talked about their new product, which is the Volcano drain, and I put this one back in to make it look like I had not opened it, but I put the label in upside down, so I'm going to grab this one. I talked about the Volcano drain, and most of you who are doing mitigations, you're used to doing sealing drains. You're used to either using there's obviously a variety of products. You've got Drangers, you've got all the different products that are out there. But in the Dunn family radon business, and they have been doing it. Jim, you've been doing it for 30 years, right? I mean, you've been doing it for a real long time.
Since 1987, actually.
Yeah, a long time. When you do that many mitigations, and you do everything correct, your suction point is right. You've sealed every crack. The crawl space is airtight. But then you're still seeing radon entering in, and obviously we know that radon's going to come in the path of least resistance. You might have an old floor drain. You may have a sump that has a drain in it, and these guys were going back as many of you are and seeing that there's a lot of leakage still in those spaces. And even before we had Kai's radon sniffer, ways that you can really see that radon coming through, I'm sure it took a while to figure out that, how much is really being lost there. So what was impressive to me, and I asked the guys to bring out their show and tell items here today, is that they actually they're going to show you their sump basin here that has all the different devices that are commonly used. They're going to run some suction through there, and you can see how much the devices that you are probably using right now, how much they're leaking, and then the solution that they came up with. And so I'm gonna pass the torch over here to you guys. Can spin a wheel and which Dunn is gonna jump on. I'm voting for Jackie. I'm hoping she jumps on and does it. But yeah, so let's let if you guys want to introduce yourself and maybe kind of tell more detail than what I just did on how you got to this and where it's at. I'm going to be watching on the Facebook side of things, on the YouTube side of things. If you're watching on this on the here in the Zoom, if you got questions, either raise your hand, jump in, or leave it in the chat, because this is your opportunity to ask them questions about this and how it works. So go ahead, guys.
Cool. Hey, well, first of all, thank you, Ben, for having us, and it was nice to meet you down in Florida. Pretty excited to show this product and get more mitigators to try it out, and that's why we ended up giving away so many down in Orlando, is because we truly believe it's a useful product for every scenario that mitigators run into. As you said, our dad has been in the business since the late 80s. We have a radon mitigation company here in Dayton, Ohio, still actively mitigating every day. But my name is Jordan Dunn. I'm the youngest. This is my brother, Jamie.
I'm Jamie, yep.
And then we have our older sister, Jackie, who's also on here, just hanging out. But one of the things that we found out, and really when I first found out that the drains on the market were an issue, is when we had, I went out to a mitigation job, and we had a suction point through a drain tile system that had a old floor drain tied into it. It was a small drain, and the only thing that we could get to fit in it was the DR2 from Dranger. The customer called us back out because they were getting whistling noises. I was feeling, I could tell we were pulling air down through this drain, and I was sitting there pouring water down through it, thinking, it's supposed to be airtight. This is what it's for, and I couldn't solve the problem. So that was pretty frustrating, and to do that in front of a customer was pretty embarrassing. So we ended up trying some different drains on the market. Actually, at one point we did go with the hyper drain. It works good. It's very bulky, and we thought that there's still room for improvement with all of these drains. Here in Ohio, we have a ton of sump pits, sump basins with drain tile, every basement pretty much has a sump. So we're used to covering and sealing these, and we have learned, and it's code in some areas, to have a 4-inch access port. So it was important to us to make a 4-inch drain that could be used in sump covers and also be an access port. So that's kind of where we started. I was 3D printing these for a long time. We perfected it, and now we have them injection molded here in Dayton, Ohio. We've tweaked and tweaked this to make it as versatile as it can be. So I'll pop this out real quick just to show you. This is dry fitted in here. Let me see if I can get a little closer. So the drain itself has a recessed lip. This is something that we found to be very useful. So in a sump pit, you oftentimes have multiple drains that are going into the sump. So dehumidifiers, condensate lines, water heater overflow lines, whatever it may be. All the drains on the market currently are surface mount, and there's no recessed lip to help collect water. So that recessed lip has been really nice. We also ended up getting this 4-inch to fit snug in a 4-inch hole so that it'll be actually airtight as well. It's a similar design to some of the other drains on the market in terms of it has a ball that basically, if there's a vacuum underneath it, or the ball will be sucked down to the bottom and create an airtight seal. If water is introduced, it'll lift that ball, allow the water to flow through. So this is, we found to be the best design for radon system drains. So I guess I can go ahead and do a demonstration of our little setup here. Ben made us put it together for you guys, so appreciate that, Ben.
Absolutely.
No, it's not a big deal. So this is what we have set up at the show, and we thought it was important to really demonstrate and show the testing that we did to come up with this design and why it's superior to anything else on the market. So we've got a Maverick set up here, sump basin, 1/4-inch polycarbonate lid, which is typically what we use for our sump covers. Many of the different drains on the market, some drainers, different options as well. And I'm going to go ahead and turn this.
Yeah, and so basically this is just a digital micromanometer. It's measuring vacuum pressure. We have it fed through this rubber Fernco coupler to kind of create a seal over top to basically measure the vacuum that's running directly through each drain.
So I'm going to crank up this Maverick real quick.
Hey guys, I don't know what kind of camera you have. Do you have a camera that you can get closer to that, or that'd be awesome just to get a little closer view on it?
Yeah, let's see.
If not, we can.
We'll try to move it up here a little bit.
You can take it off the top of the computer, Jamie.
No, we're running off a different.
Oh, okay.
That's even better there too. That's
better?
Good. Yep.
Okay.
We can see the different styles there too.
Okay, and I'll be able to hold the micromanometer closer so you
Perfect.
can
Yeah.
try to see the readings as well.
That's perfect right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys find a QR code that actually does all this demonstration in a much better.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah,
So on the product, here's the bag, but you can see inside of here, there's a QR code that you can scan that takes you right to. So those of you that aren't seeing this, I can even link to that over on Facebook, so you guys can see this later. But yeah, it's fun to see it live.
Sure.
Yeah, I can. I've got some videos as well to show, kind of cutting it down. So anyway, we'll go ahead and crank this up. So we're going to draw a vacuum underneath these drains in the sump basin. I'll crank it up to around 1 inch, which is something you might find usually maybe a little bit lower in a sump, but and then we got the micromanometer set up. So let's make sure we're zeroed out. Currently, all of these drains we installed, we cut the proper hole for the drains, but none of these are caulked in. Now, a lot of these drains can be caulked in, and it's recommended if you're going to use any of these other drains. But this is just to show you what happens with these drains if they're not caulked in. So can you see that number, Ben?
Yep, absolutely. It's, yeah, point 0.05. Yeah.
Yep. That's one of them. I can go around to some of these other ones. Drainagers, it depends on the drain itself. Some of them are worse than others. The DR2 is actually really bad. You can hear.
Yeah, that's the one you can hear whistling right now. You might be able to hear it.
Yeah. So obviously, it's
Yeah.
just not.
I mean, that's 20 times more than the other one there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So this is the Volcano drain. If I cover that, actually zero that, it was showing positive. That can't be.
It's forcing radon back into the house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You guys have struck gold. No suction point needed.
Right.
There you go. So over the Volcano drain, we're not losing any air down through this. So the important part of that is, well, we didn't even caulk it in, and we're not losing any air down through this drain without it being caulked in. So I can sit here.
I was going to say, take that completely out and then show us your meter on the empty hole there, so you can see.
Yeah.
I mean, that's obviously pulling.
Yeah.
For anyone that might think that hole didn't have any suction to it.
Right. So pull the drain out. 4-inch access port. Do whatever you need to with that, and then this drain can pop back in. Make sure it's snug, and then we'll measure the vacuum again. Again, we're not leaking anything. So this is, 1 inch with the Maverick. We can crank this up as high as the Maverick can go.
I'll tell you, the Zoom is doing a great job because I don't hear the Maverick at all. So you said
really?
you said it was whistling. I'm not hearing any of that sound. So
let me crank it up.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, go for it.
Because it's
now I hear a little bit, but not nearly anything at all.
So yeah, even now we're at 1.5 water column inches. You still have 0 air loss coming through here.
Try to cover up some of these other drains.
That's the only reason it's not maxed out, is because it's losing so much air through these other drains.
So this was the little demo we had set up at the show, and this is really what we did to test our product because we use it every day. So we want it to work. So sump installs, it's great for access port. No caulk install. Recessed lip to help collect multiple drains. You can have draining over this, and water can actually pool in this lip rather than water overflowing onto this cover. Water flow is still good as well. Under vacuum, it actually increases a little bit. So that's the sump install. Then from there, I originally had a couple different sizes. We talked with injection mold companies, and we ended up modifying this to make it one drain that can be cut down into actually 4 different sizes. And it's not just you cut it down to 4 different sizes, it'll fit inside of 4 different size drains.
And actually David Smith had a lot of input on this, because we talked with Daryl over at Festa and David and plenty other people within the industry, and David said that his biggest issue is in your guys' area in Illinois, he runs into a lot of old bell drains in homes that are very small opening, that he had the one DR2 drainer that he could maybe fit in there in some circumstances, but outside of that he couldn't find anything to fit in there. And so Jordan worked on it to where now you can take this drain and you can cut it. It's a 4-inch. You can cut it down to a 3-inch, 2-inch, all the way down to a 1.5-inch. And we've tested it out in those bell drains, and it fits in there perfectly.
So we'll see if my I've got my light here. if you could see a little bit better on the bottom side of it, there are different size lips, and so you can and this is, I mean, it's injection molded, but I'm not breaking it. It's got enough give to it that it's going to snap into that spot, but obviously it's not, the plastic is not so thick that you can't take your blade to it, and you'll see this on their videos if you watch that, but it takes 30 seconds to just go and cut, depending on which side, and there's a nice little I got to get a good shot of that. There's a nice little track inside there, and that track allows you to know where you're cutting, right? That's what that track is for. Yeah. So there's a guide on when you're cutting, and then it's got the different size lips depending on where you land. So yeah, you may only do a 1-inch drain 5 times in your career, but knowing that when you walk in with this thing, if that's what's in the house, then you're set.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we, being in the industry, being mitigators, my dad for a long time, we've carried multiple drains. So we've had to carry and order multiple sizes for different scenarios that we might only run into a couple times a year, and we have to hold them and keep them in inventory. So this drain being able to serve basically as the only drain you really need to carry is another part that we found it to be so useful. I mean, we've been using them for over a year. We were using the 3D printed versions that I originally started with, and now the injection molded is a lot better. I think that mitigators, once you try it out, you'll realize that it's what you should be carrying. I have, if you want, Ben, I can maybe share my screen to show that cutting video.
Yeah, I mean, you could absolutely do that. I was going to say, but Jordan and Jamie, what happens if my plumber is putting the condensation line into this thing and it just fills with gunk and crap? What do I do then?
That's a great question, Ben.
Well, Ben,
I'm glad you asked.
You must have a lot of experience in this field.
I have a very gross condensation line coming out of my ancient furnace.
Yeah, so it's actually 2 pieces, injection molded. This base and the lid here is all one piece. The inside here is just a little grill. Sorry, lost the camera there. It's a little grill that just holds the ball in place, so the ball can be removed, and you can clean that out. So very simple. Grill snaps back in there. There you go. Clean it out.
Now, is that something that you would ever tell to a homeowner, or is that something that, and that's just a genuine question. I don't know if you'd want people messing with that.
I think I would. It's really easy to do, and there's really no way that they could really mess it up.
Yeah. A homeowner will find a way to mess that up.
Well, sure.
They'll crush the ball.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's up to you, but I would lean towards encouraging, like showing the homeowner how to clean it out, and then also, utilize it. We always, I mean, we're installing these, and I always tell the homeowner, that this can be used as an access port so that they can pop it out and test out their sump pump on their own. So maybe when they do that, just, pop that out and clean it too if it's needed.
Excuse me a second. A lot of homeowners, their basement starts to flood and they want to go in and rip that cover out. Well, they can remove that 4-inch hole and they don't have to tear the cover out, and then they can put it back in without ruining anything.
Yeah. I know that David Smith, one of the things that he is always, I mean, just on the side where we're marketing his business, we're always talking about the viewport that he puts into there. And obviously this is not a viewport, but it serves that same purpose of, when I was doing radon testing, and I was explaining to a homeowner, okay, you've got high, here's what's going to happen. They're going to come out, they're going to cut a hole, they're going to throw a pipe in there, but they're also going to seal up your sump lid. And I said, and I would always, try to build up David Smith, and I would say, hey, the nice thing they do is they put in this, this viewport. I said, if we have a heavy rain, you can shine your flashlight in there. But this is obviously the same thing. It's one extra step, but the viewport can get dirty too, right? Over time. So you got gas and stuff in there. It's going to, people are not going to take Windex to that, once a year. But this is something I would explain to the homeowner. Hey, the number one thing that's going to fail on your sump pump is that switch. And so when your basement's starting to flood, it's likely that switch. Now, does that mean you need to swap out your sump pump? Yes. Does that also mean that you can take this out, stick your arm in there, toggle that switch, get it to run once, empty it out while you got a plumber on the phone? I said, it may save your basement. Obviously you want to unplug that sump before you do that, but that's something that when you're installing these as part of your mitigation, if you're not doing viewports, but you do have a reason to be putting these into your sump lid, that is a sales pitch, whether it's in the selling side of it, when you're out there bidding the job and you're trying to differentiate yourself versus someone else. And because the homeowner doesn't care about leakage. They don't. They just want the radon gone. And the homeowner doesn't know the difference really between 3 or 4 or 10. They just know radon's bad. They don't want any more of it. You're just trying to do it to the best of your ability. But something to say, hey, listen, your sump pump will fail. It's like your refrigerator. It will fail. You just don't know what day it's going to fail. And if there's something you can do, and when is it going to fail? It's going to fail on that day when it's working extra hard because we had a heavy rain. So here's the thing that you can pop out. I'm going to show you, how to do it. And the nice thing about you showing how to get the ball out of there is I'm not trying to do this inside of I can pull this out and let gravity. I was thinking, I'm like, well, I mean, how do I do that? Do I get something? No, I just pull it out and I just tip it upside down. Sometimes the easiest answer is, but yeah, that is definitely a really good, if you're not doing, I mean, can you put a viewport in and this? Absolutely. You can put both of these in there so you can shine your flashlight in. If you think the homeowner doesn't understand how to pull it's not like it's complicated, but if you take a second with the homeowner, on the marketing side of things, sometimes you guys are in the home and the homeowner is not there. Shoot a little video, right? Shoot a little video that you can either email to the homeowner after the job. You could throw it on a QR code that you put, right next to it on the sump lid. But anything that you can do, because again, that homeowner sells that house, somebody else moves in. So all the instructions that you gave to them they're not like, oh, hey, here's, the garbage pickups on Thursday, and let me show you how to use this Volcano device down in the sump. Like, they're not telling that to the next owner of the house. So having something on there with your, information, how to use it, how to clean it, its purpose on why it's there, that's stuff that you can add on a 10-cent sticker, that might get you the call when the fan dies, right? Or when they have an issue, or when their sump does fail and the plumber comes in and just makes a mess of your whole thing. Well, you want to be able to get the call for that, because you installed installed it. So this is one of those things that those of you who have made, switches on fans or made switches on whether it's the manometer, like, these are the kinds of things that are, just little tools in your tool belt, on your sales tool belt, right? I'm different because I do this. I have this product which allows me to do this. When we talk about sales, we want to sell the solution to the problem. And so, a lot of times the homeowner doesn't know they have a problem. So problem, hey, you can hire any mitigation company, but you've got a drain here, and it's gonna, the products on the market, they leak. So you're gonna go to all this effort to have radon, mitigated, but it's still gonna leak through this drain. And for decades now, there's only been one or two or three different options, and they all leak. But I have something that doesn't, right? And so those little things that you can throw out there change your bid. And it doesn't change your price much on the job you're doing, but it may be the difference between getting the job and not getting the job. So, yeah.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the first thing when I'm talking to a homeowner about sealing the sump, they don't get it. They're like, what am I going to do? My sump's going to be sealed. And the first thing I always say is, we'll put a 4-inch access port in there. You can pop it off. You can stick your arm down in there or pour water down in there if you need to. It's a little. It always eases them when I mention that, because I stress to them it's important to have the sump sealed, but we're going to have a 4-inch access port for you, so you can always check your pump.
Yep. And speaking to the customer too, I always explain to them that part of our goal and sealing everything up is not only to help get the radon levels down as low as possible, but also anything that you're not sealing, we're potentially pulling conditioned air from the house out of there. And so that kind of registers with a lot of homeowners too, because, that's affecting their utility bills. Even, in most cases it's probably very minimal, but, that does kind of register with a lot of people.
Yeah, for pressure field extension, I mean, you can be caulking the smallest hairline crack, and it can make a huge difference.
Right.
So in a situation where you do have a floor drain and you need to have it sealed, it's important to have an airtight seal on that. So anyway.
Absolutely. I don't know if anybody that's jumped on has any questions. Throw them in the chat, throw them on Facebook, throw them on YouTube. We'll see those, and we can do that. You want to share your screen? You can do that.
See if I can do that.
If not, I'm sure I can. But
Ben, I'm gonna have to run. I appreciate you having us on.
Absolutely.
You're obviously the one to talk to if there are any questions, though. So
yeah.
All right. Let's see.
I was hoping we'd have an opportunity to talk about Jamie while he's gone. So this was good.
Well, there you go. You're all set.
This is where Jackie shines. She can jump on it.
Right. All right.
You might mention, Ben, where they could get these.
Well, I've got 2 for sale. So obviously, I know that you can buy these on Festa's website. Is David carrying these yet? Has he got them?
David does not have these yet.
Okay.
But should be getting them soon. Right now Festa's website, you can order them through them. Okay.
And this video is part of the QR code on there, right, Jordan?
Yeah, it is. I'm trying to share the screen right now, but I don't know what's going on, Ben.
Let me see if I can forward it over, because it's on a link tree, and I will send this over to. Let me see if I could throw it on on mine here. You want to do the cutting video, right?
Yeah, cutting video would be good.
Yeah, here we go. All right, I'll show that here real quick. Going to share. All right. Now let's see. It is on the Zoom call here, and let me just pull. See if that does it. We're seeing multiple things here, so I'm going to start it on there.
There it goes.
So yeah, like Ben said, there's the little channel, so you can follow that to cut it down. This is cutting it down to a 3-inch, so that actual outer diameter, the lip, it'll still have a lip that'll be 3.5-inch, but it'll fit. The inner diameter will be 3-inch. It'll fit inside a 3-inch pipe or drain. So score it, puncture it a few times, and then you can pop it off. You can clean up the edges too after you're done. This is cutting it down to a 2-inch. Same thing. Do a quick score through the channel, and then puncture through a few times, and then you can rip it off. Cool. Pretty simple.
Yeah, and if you are jumping into, we'll put these links on there, but this is more or less what.
Yeah, there you go.
You can see a little better version of it here, of the different devices that you're used to seeing.
Yeah, so it's just showing that air is being pulled down through these drains. Some of them through the actual middle of the drain, some of them just around the perimeter, because none of them are caulked in. But that's kind of the benefit of the Volcano drain, is you don't have to caulk it in.
Here's something you didn't really talk about was.
Yeah, water flow. So this is under vacuum. I just wanted to make sure that it can handle water. Kind of demonstrating like a standard, I don't know, condensate line or dehumidifier. Some of these, what I find frustrating is some of them, here, this one, if it's under vacuum, the ball doesn't lift up, so water overflows on the lid. But some of these drains that I've found frustrating is the grill on the top. If the water's not draining right over one of those holes and it's a small amount, then you're going to get spillage on top of the sump cover. So that's part of the benefit of having the recessed lip to collect any water.
Yeah, it's definitely going to allow for that to condense or to evaporate, right?
Yeah.
Which is nice, and making sure that you've got a way for that water, somewhere for it to go, right? So, although to be fair, those ones that are leaking a ton of air, that does allow for quicker evaporation because there's air passing by it. So,
Sure.
There you go. I can spin anything.
Yeah. Yeah, so. And I mean, a lot of these drains, they're not bad. It's just some of them, I don't think they're perfect for this industry necessarily. If you're drawing a vacuum underneath these drains, the idea is that you're not going to be losing air through them. And I was honestly shocked when I started doing tests on all of these drains.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it started.
You're also going to keep volume down, right? I mean, it's. I know that I've got my my suction point in my house, I take full responsibility for. I told David's guy Dan where I wanted it, which I shouldn't have. I should have listened to him. But it is way too close to my drain tile, and so in the wintertime, I'm hearing that air circulating through there, which is not a big deal. It's where the sump is. When we frame up our basement, it'll be sealed back there, but it's definitely pulling air. And so that's not helpful. So, it's sucking through there. So, well, I tell you what, anything else you want to throw in here, or?
I mean, not really. I was hoping that David would be on here. I'd love to get more of his opinion on this. I know he has a few, and we've been over, and we, like Jamie said, he actually had a lot of input in this design and getting it to reduce down to 1.5 inches. So I think he's gonna love it. I can't wait for some of not only him but some of these other mitigators to try it out. I really appreciate you having us on, letting me kind of demonstrate it again. I wish we had some more mitigators at the show, but yeah, we gave away as many drains as we could there.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Give it a try is all I can say. And then we have some more products that we're already working on to help improve our mitigation systems. And then we think that it'll also be something for other mitigators to help them. So,
yeah, I said this in Orlando. I mean, it's one thing to invent something to be used or to adapt something, but really what these guys have done is built a better mousetrap, right? Which there's a reason that saying exists, because the mousetrap is such a simple thing that it's almost impossible to improve it without making it overly complicated. And so they were able to take that and say, okay, well, what are the things that works about a drain device? Obviously the ball, the suction, even the size, and you can kind of see on there even the shape of the way that they've got there. This is, it's indented in there, in the shape of a volcano there. But all those little items make a difference in the efficiency of it and how it works. And so I do encourage you, to grab one of these and throw it in an install and see the difference that it makes. Obviously, time is money when you can cut it down, and you can in less than 30 seconds you can have it adapt to what you need, versus, I mean, that's longer than going back to the truck and getting a different one because the drain's different size, right? So having those things available to you. And I know, like I said, David could make it today, but what'll happen is over the course of the week, we'll have people that are that'll be watching this on Facebook. They'll be watching on YouTube. A lot of people watch over the weekend because they're out working right now, which is great. But we want to make sure that they can do that. So, guys, thank you very much. I think that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, guys, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week. Thanks.